Today we're going to be installing FASS Sump Kit. Part number is going to be a STK5500. Now this Sump Kit is fairly new from FASS. It's a really nice design. It gives you a couple of different options. We're going to go ahead and unbox it here, show you what you get in the side of the kit. First off, you're going to get your instructions. Are going to come in the kit. Okay. Tube, bag of hardware. This all comes in the kit, and then the sump itself. Okay, and you can see the sump is they got it laser etched with FASS's logo in there. A couple Viton O-rings there on the sump itself. Now the sump can be used in a couple different ways. It's very versatile. It can be used as just a sump. You can see a picture up there, but what we're going to do today is we're actually going to install a draw straw in our Dodge. We're working on an 05 Dodge today, 2500, 3/4 ton. And what we're going to do now is we're actually going to show you a model of the sump kit put together. This is a model of the FASS stump put together here. Now you can see how this is. Now you can use just the sump by itself, and it comes with fittings to where you could actually hook your draw line into the sump right here. But what they've done is they've actually gone one step farther, and they've added a suction tube kit to this, a bulkhead fitting and everything that'll go in the tank. And what this is going to help you do is it's going to help you to eliminate your quarter tank issues and whatnot. So there's a lot of different options that you can do with this, a lot of different ways that you can use it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get started with our installation now. Okay, now we're going to get started with our our FASS sump installation. We've done tons of videos of taking fuel tanks down to do installs, so we eliminated all that from this. We've got our tank down, we got our tank pumped out and got it dry. We've got our sending unit out. We've got the tank down here on the ground on clean surface, and what we're going to do now is we're going to first mark where our sump is going to be. All right, there's a template in the back of your installation manual, and I definitely suggest using this template because it goes pretty wide of where you're going to be locating your sump. On the Dodge tanks, on these common rail Dodge tank, there's a portion in this that's got a couple of dimples, and that's actually where your factory fuel sending unit is going to ride. So you'll want to use the template that they supply you in the manual, because you don't want to go too far with it, because you'll actually have an O-ring that won't seat good. So it's got to be on a good flat surface. So what we're going to do now is we're going to punch our center hole. This. All right, that worked out perfect. Now with this installation, a couple of tools that you probably won't have in your box, you may have to run out to your local hardware store and get. You're going to need a 2 3/4 inch hole saw and a 1 3/8 inch hole saw. All right, first step for the sump is what we're going to do is we're going to drill our 2 3/4 inch hole in the tank, in the bottom of the tank. We've center punched it. Should be good to go. You want to deburr the hole now. Okay, now we're going to start drilling out our mounting holes for our sump. The sump has a raised lip on it here that's 2 3/4, so it'll actually go inside there and it's going to center itself just about perfectly. We're going to point this towards the long portion of the tank, and every tank's different. You know, you could be working on a Ford or Chevrolet. Every tank's going to be different. So what we're going to do first off is the first hole that we're going to drill is going to be a little bit smaller than a 1/4 inch. Okay, and we're going to get it just about where we want it. We're going to drill a hole through the tank, through our sump. All right, now we're going to take one of our bolts, our 1/4-20 bolts, and what we're going to do is put our bolt in there, and this will lock our, keep our sump kind of centered where we're wanting. Okay. Now we're going to drill a second hole. Directly opposite from the other one. All right, we'll take another bolt. Okay, now that's got our sump exactly where we're going to want it. What we're going to do now is we're going to go through and we're going to drill out our other 8 holes, come back with a 1/4-inch drill bit, and then we're going to widen out these 2 holes we used here for our guide bolts. After you've got all your 1/4-inch holes drilled, what you want to do is you want to remove your sump, go back through and deburr all the holes, make sure all the holes are clean and ready to accept fasteners. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to be using the sump bridge and the sump clamp, the SB and the SC 550 part numbers is what they are. There's an Allen head bolt in the kit to install these. You want to attach these. You want to attach these together. Doesn't matter which clamp you really put it on. You've got the same fitting on both sides. Go ahead and tighten that down. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to set the depth up of our draw straw here. So what we're going to do is we need to get a clamp portion and put it on this sump base, and on the sump base, and we'll set the depth of the draw straw. So you want to do is go in here and put a couple of your fasteners in, your Allen head fasteners in. 2 nylon washers. FASS sends these for you to simulate the thickness of the tank, and go ahead and put your clamp portion with the bridge on there. Okay. And you're going to want to tighten this down. Again, the 2 nylon washers are just to simulate the thickness of the tank. Okay, so that's got our clamp portion put on there, and you can kind of see how our draw straw is going to go in the cup. So what we're going to do is we're going to set our draw straw in, and we're just going to barely start our set screws. Okay. Okay. Now with our set screw start, what we're going to do is we're going to lift our draw straw about 2/4 of an inch, 2/4 high off of the bottom of the sump. If you can kind of see that, probably the reflection is not going to let you do it. And we're going to go ahead and tighten down our set screws. So that's probably 1/8 of an inch off the bottom of that sump right there. About the height, the 2/4 stacked together, that's just about exactly what we've got. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tighten this down. Okay. And I'm going to leave this assembled to this clamp piece. I'm going to go back and tighten everything up. And I'm just going to go ahead and disassemble everything. Disassemble everything, but leave your bridge attached to your clamp and the draw straw attached inside the bridge. Okay, now we're going to begin working on our sending unit, preparing it for the sump. And what we're going to be doing on our sending unit here is we're actually just going to be opening it up for fuel flow. What'll happen is our sump line will actually come through here, and then our sump will be oriented right below our fuel basket. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut the bottom out of our fuel basket here, and what that'll allow us to do is allow fuel to go into the sump faster. We're going to use just a cut-off wheel for this. Then we're going to drill several holes in the basket, and that'll help it to recover fuel as well.
Be real careful of your fuel arm when you're doing this. Okay, now that we got the bottom out of the basket, what we're going to do now is we're going to go through and we're just going to drill several holes around the basket to allow fuel to flow through the basket to be able to get into the sump that much faster. And we're just going to drill several small holes in it and then go back through and widen them out. No set amount of holes here. The more holes you drill, the faster your basket will recover. Your sump will recover. Now, if you've got an in-tank pump in your basket, what you're going to want to do is remove the pump, and you're going to want to make your basket as open as you possibly can. All right, now we're going to start assembling the bulkhead fitting. And what we want to do here is we're going to be using just a pump only with no return. So when you're using this with, say, the FASS adjustable pump or any of the pumps that do not have a return, then what you'll want to do with these is what we're going to do on ours. We're going to plug off our return side. These bulkhead fittings that have got two ports on them. They've got a return port and they've got a supply port. So we want to plug off our return port, which is the port labeled R. And when you get plugs that come in the kit and they've already got thread tape on them, they're a 3/8 Allen. Okay. And then we're going to be using 1/2 inch line on this, so we're going to use a 1/2 inch. And the kit's nice because it includes the male fittings for both 3/8 and 1/2 inch. So just depending on what line you've got, before you install the fitting, what you want to do is you want to put a little thread tape on it. Make sure that you're going in the right direction with your thread tape. Okay. All right, then a 7/8 wrench and just tighten it up. Now these are pipe threads, so you don't have to get these really tight, just tight enough to create a seal. And then you've got it. The return side's the same way. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and install our bulkhead fitting. With our bulkhead fitting, what we're going to be checking for is we want to make sure that we look for orientation, as to make sure that we're not hitting anything in our installation. Now, this is our bulkhead fitting that's assembled, so you can see that you've kind of got to be aware of where it's going to be in location to your fin here. And again, this is going to be completely different for the Chevrolets and the Fords, so this isn't the end all be all, but like I said, this is just a Dodge application. So we've kind of looked at where we want to be right here. We know that that's going to give us clearing, and we're going to put our bulkhead fitting right here. And this is a good spot here because it's already got a center hole punch right there in it. So we're going to go ahead and drill this. This is our 1 3/8 hole saw. Okay, and that's just about perfect right there. That gives us enough room to install our hose here. We can actually point it towards the back if we need to, but that's going to be just about perfect right there. Now, normally what we would do is we'd put a cup in here to catch most of the stuff, but we've got a bunch of shreds already in the tank from where we cut our bottom. So we're going to clean this tank out really, really well, and you really need to be aware of that, because especially in common rail trucks, because look at that, those little ribbons of plastic right there. So we're going to clean this tank really, really well before we go any farther. But as of right now, we're going to deburr this hole, and we're going to go ahead and install our bulkhead fitting. Washer and the nut go on the inside, the Viton O-ring, it will actually stay out on top. Then we'll install a nut and lock washer right there. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to assemble the suction tube to the corrugated hose that FASS supplies us with. We're going to put both of our hose clamps on there because we're actually going to go ahead and assemble this inside the tank. So what we're going to do is we're going to tighten this up. Thing up here. All right. Now what we're going to do is we've already prepped the basket to get it ready to go back in, and you can see what we've done as far as our holes goes. We've probably drilled out our holes to I don't know, they're probably 3/8 or so, maybe a little bit smaller. So we've got good flow into the basket, but we've also left a couple of parts of the basket to where we didn't touch it with the drill. So that's going to let the basket have a little bit of a recovery. So we've cleaned everything up real good. So we're going back in with it now. What we're going to do is going back in with the basket. We're actually going to put this assembly down through here, and we're going to go ahead and put it in the tank all in one shot. And I'll show you that right now, because it has to be through the basket. It has to be through the basket and getting ready to go into the cup, into the sump cup. And this is the only chance that you're going to have to do it. So we're going to go ahead and go through here. We want to orient this the way that it's supposed to go back in the tank. Be careful of your fuel sending arm. Okay, just let that unit hang there for right now. It'll be going over to this side of the tank. Okay. Now you kind of got everything right there, and just a jumbled up mess, but that's really the way that we're looking at it. We're going to be looking at it right here. What we're going to be doing now is we're going to switch the keep the basket to where we can actually work and attach the corrugated pipe to the bulkhead. So now what we're going to do with our draw tube now, we're going to go ahead and hook it, attach it to our bulkhead fitting before we put our basket in. All right, you just push it all the way up, and then go back in and tighten up our clamp. Okay, now we've got our tube in, we've got everything tightened up. What we've done is we've just kind of oriented our tube where we know it's going to go into our pieces that are going to hold us up. So we're pretty close to where we need to be as far as this goes. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and drop our fuel basket in there, and we're not going to tighten anything down. We're not going to push our basket down. We're just going to go ahead and loose fit everything in here. All right. Watch your fuel level arm when you're going in. And what you're going to want to do now is you're just going to want to take your draw straw and move it right into the cup, just like so. Okay. Yeah, that's got us. And as you can see there, what that's done is we've got our draw straw running right through our basket and ready to come out the bottom. Now what we'll do is we'll just turn the tank kind of on its side here to give you a better view. Reach in here. Bring it out the bottom. That way we've got it out here where we can work with it. So you can see it's right through the sending unit there, and we've got everything lined up where it needs to be. All right, in your sump kit you've got 4 alignment studs that come in the sump kit. Now what these studs are for is they go here on into the saddle for the sump. And what this is going to allow you to do is this is going to allow you to put these pieces inside, and you want the arches facing the bottom of the tank. What you're going to do is you're actually going to be working these 2 pieces inside, and these arches, or what the alignment pins will do is the alignment pins are going to hold it into position. So you'll actually just work the pieces inside, okay, and then you'll put your alignment pins in one of the holes. And there you go. So that's fairly simple, okay? Now you want to put your other 2 pieces in your other saddle. That's all fine and good, but the problem now is you've got to have small hands to do this, or access to somebody that's got some small hands. Because what you're going to have to do is once you get one of these saddles in, you're going to have to attach it to the draw straw, okay? Just like we did out there when we were assembling our draw straw and getting our depth set. So that's going to be the most critical thing here. So really, and you've got to do that before you set your alignment pins. So really there's no good way to do this. There's really not a way that I'm going to be able to film this to do it. I'm going to have somebody to help me hold this down. And then somehow get my saddle in here. Somehow get my saddle in here and get it attached like this. So it'll actually probably take 2 people to do that. All right, now what we wanted to do is we wanted to show you what our sump straw looks like installed. Now what we did here is there wasn't any way to really video this. This was just a you just got to get in there and do it. It's difficult. It's tight quarters. It's gonna stress you out, but we got in there and we got it done. So what we did was we actually put our first saddle in that our sump straw is going to attach to. We finagled our hands in there and got it all lined up and got it tightened down. Now it took 2 of us to do this, but before we actually put the saddle piece through with its alignment pins through these holes, we put our saddle piece that didn't have the sump straw in and got it through, and then that way it was out of the way, done. So we didn't have the sump straw in our way. Now, then we put our sump straw side of the saddle in. That's what these are. These are actually alignment pins, and they're really nice to have. So what we're going to do now is we're going to install our sump in the direction that we had originally planned on using it. All right. And with that sump in there, the reason why I left the plug out of this side is so you can go in here, you can actually feel your clearance, so you've got enough clearance. So that's the reason why I left the plug out of it for right now. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and start putting our hardware in. A little bit of silicone on these bolts just to seal them, and they get one of the washers on them. Okay. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just snug this down. And I'm going to go to the opposite side and put a bolt in. All right, a little bit of silicone again. Now I'm going to switch over and go back to the other side, the opposite side of the saddle, and I'm just going to continue to do so until I get all 10 bolts in. I'm just going to keep flip-flopping back and forth. All right, we've got 6 of our mounting bolts in our sump now. What we're going to do is we're going to start taking our alignment dowels out. We're going to take them out one at a time and try to work on opposite corners from each other as we come out with them. They've got an Allen head in the middle of them, so you can use an Allen wrench to remove the dowels. All right. I'm going back in with our new bolts with silicone on them. All right, now that we've got our sump fully installed, what we're going to do is we're going to go through and torque our bolts on the bottom. These should be torqued down to 30 inch-pounds. Okay. Now we're going to be moving to the top of the tank and working on getting our sending unit in. Okay, now with our sending unit, what we're going to do is we're just going to make sure that everything's clearing in here, make sure that our fuel level arm is clear of everything here. Just slip it on down in, just like the canister would normally sit in here. Got our O-ring in. Okay, we set our locking ring in. Now just tighten our locking ring down. Okay, once you get in the locking ring in the center detent, that's everything that's locked down and it's ready to go back into the truck. We're going to do a couple of things on this tank before it goes back up. We're going to go ahead and hook up our hose just to keep from having to loop it up and push it on the push to connect with it installed in the truck. We're going to do that first. Okay, we've got our tank back in our truck. We've got a truck full of fuel. Checked everything for leaks, and we're good to go as far as that goes. So this pretty well completes our installation of our STK 5500. Now with this sump, you know, this sump is very versatile. Again, you can actually put your line right here connected to the sump and draw right out of the sump, or you know, with the draw straw in it, you know, it pulls right from the sump. So it's a very versatile application. Is really well made. I mean, you can see this truck's got a full tank of fuel in it. You know, we don't have a, you know, even a hint of a fuel leak or anything like that. So overall, as far as the installation goes, you know, you're definitely going to need somebody to help you as far as working inside the tank with the saddle clamps and whatnot. But other than that, probably maybe 3 to 4 hours with on the installation with dropping the tank and everything. So FASS STK 5500. We've got them on the website. If you need anything from us, let us know. If you've got questions on this or any of our other install videos, please let us know. Thank you.